Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. Today we are starting with late, there is change of schedule. Now the stream will happen at 15 GMT for this week and the next week. If we consider the price developments in the dollar for today's trading session, particularly for the European trading hours and then the initial few hours of the North American trading session, we have seen a range bound trading session. We haven't really seen a run off one way strong move. I think for early part of the day, particularly in the Asian trading hours, there was gains for the major currencies. The other currencies like Euro, JPY, GBP, etc., went on to gain substantially, keeping up with the momentum which was seen after the release of monetary policy statement from the Federal Reserve. So, in continuation of that, there was strong moves observed in these major currencies. So, in Asian trading session, we saw dollar remaining on the back foot with gains happening across the board for other major currencies. But after the start of the European trading session, things stabilized and rather there was some correction from the higher levels with these currencies correcting somewhat. And now we are seeing again some momentum being back into play, and we are seeing some upward moves again for the euro and other currencies against the US dollar. Now, this is going to be interesting to see if we are likely to see fresh highs, swing highs being established above the prior swing highs, or if the day the North American trading session closes with these prior range holding well. So let us now head to the JForex for the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA to see how things are shaping up and how we can take advantage of the ongoing situation. So for that, we will have to consider these Euro USD charting, where we have the Euro again seeing some gains on the lower levels with this appreciation of around 30 pips from the lowest point to the current level, and it seems to be on its way to regain this prior swing high. The level is likely to be retested. It is simply a matter of time. Of course, nothing is certain, but the probability is quite high that in coming hours or maybe in coming days, we will see the euro climbing past these immediate swing high, which is just little shy of 1.093. So with that possibility in mind, we can continue to trade with this approach of buy on dips in these currencies. We can short the US dollar and expect these currencies, including the euro, GBP, JPY, to remain in appreciative mode against the US dollar. So if we have to look for the trading opportunities at the current levels or in the coming few hours, I think buying the euro, or for that matter, the most bullish currency against the US dollar, is going to be a better idea rather than shorting it. And then the next question is whether the euro is the most bullish, or if we have better momentum, better opportunities unfolding somewhere else. So for that, we will have to consider these price move in correlational terms, and then once we have established the correlational aspects and figured out the most bullish instrument to trade with in this environment, we can have higher probability for our trade. So let us do that correlational study. If we compare the Euro USD charting with the other currency, particularly with the GBP, we don't really have much of a difference in the price formation. The GBP was on the defensive earlier in the day, but it is also changing course and trying to rise again. This is a GBPUSD charting with these late surge happening for the GBP as well. There were sharp moves. There was a monetary policy release from the Bank of England, and after that, we saw these sharp moves happening on both the sides. So it simply enlarged the range of the GBP. There was no sustained momentum on either side. So we saw this spike and then all those losses evaporate only to again climb back toward the same level. So if you look at these price levels, this is simply consolidation phase with this slight bias on the bullish side. So here also, I think we will have to expect the GBP to remain in range for next couple of hours. So at the current levels, even going for the fresh trades with the expectation of further appreciation are going to be a bit difficult. But as I said, the bias is of course on the bullish side. So it is better to keep looking for buy on dips trade rather than looking for any short selling opportunities. Maybe if we don't really see fresh move on the upside for next couple of hours, then maybe we can think about going short on these levels if the resistance seems to be overwhelming the GBPUSD's current uppish movement. But for the time being, it is better to go with the flow and keep looking for the buy opportunities with the possibility of move towards 1.24 being quite strong in coming hours, coming days for the GBP USD. And it is seemingly better placed in comparison to the euro. But there is one thing which I think we need to keep in mind that for euro there was not much volatility, not much fresh decline. But since we had the Bank of England's monetary policy release statement, so that caused a higher volatility for the GBP, and euro has been trading rather in a subdued manner. It went into decline almost more than 50 pips, 60 pips, and then it consolidated for a long time, and it seems to be slowly again starting to rise back. From that context, we can prefer to go for the trade in the euro as it has been able to hold these levels consistently for more amount of time rather than the sharp moves which we saw for the GBP. So that difference is there, but it is much closer to its prior swing high. So that gives some advantage to the GBP as well. So I would say that there is not much of an clarity on that context, and we will have to trade cautiously, but for both these instruments, the momentum is more favorable for the bullish trades, buy and dip trade with these different criterions yielding different results, and yeah, that is creating some confusion for the traders as well. Now let's see what's the story for AUD. For AUD, the momentum seems to be much less bullish in comparison to the euro as well as GBP. Here it has been making these lower lows and lower highs since it went on to make these fresh swing high of 0.6755. From there on, it has considerably corrected from these higher levels, and right now it is again back to where it was in this consolidation phase at the start of the US trading session. From those levels, it declined around half a percentage point, but now it has been able to regain the lost ground and it is consolidating closer to this prior swing high. So for next couple of hours, the momentum is likely to remain of sideways. So in that context, the AUD seems to be the least bullish of all the three major currencies which we have seen so far, and that is going to make it a bit difficult to go long in the Australian dollar in comparison to the other major currencies. Even in case of these immediate swing high, most major currencies went on to make a fresh swing high higher than this high made at the start of the monetary policy release. But for AUD, the next high was slightly lower and it has considerably corrected from those levels. So that makes the AUD less bullish in comparison to the euro as well as the GBP. If we see the charting for the GBP, you can see that it had gone to make this fresh swing high. From there on, again, it is not really far off from these prior swing high. The euro also made a fresh swing high, and again, it seems to be on its way to make a new swing high as well. So both these are better placed in comparison to the AUD. For NZD, the things are seemingly much better placed for the NZD in comparison to its Asia Pacific peer, the AUD. For NZD, here you can notice that the fresh swing high is there, and it is quite close to this prior swing high as well. But there was this sharp correction, and I think because of this, we will have to put it behind the euro in terms of its immediate bullish momentum. And if we compare it to the GBP, the result would say that it is a better place than the GBP. So we have now clarity emerging in our major currencies trading against the US dollar, with the euro being at the moment the most bullish currency, followed by the NZD. Then comes the GBP, and the least bullish is AUD. Now we will have to invert the scales and consider these USD CAD, USD CHF, and USD JPY. For USD CAD, the momentum is in favor of the CAD. It has been making these lower lows and lower highs for quite a good amount of time, particularly after the release of US monetary policy statement. We have seen quite strong appreciation in the Canadian dollar, and because of this, I think we will do well to keep our bias in favor of the Canadian dollar. It is likely to continue to keep appreciating, and we can adopt a sell on rally approach in the USD CAD with the expectation of US dollar remaining on the back foot for the next couple of hours. Now, if we have to compare whether it is better placed compared to the other currencies, or whether we should be giving less weightage, less prominence to it while making our trading choices. So for that, we will have to compare it to the other major currencies. And here we have this formation of the USD CAD, where the CAD is now at the moment at its lowest level seen in last couple of trading sessions. Whereas for other major currencies, the story is slightly different. These are also not far off, but for the CAD, the immediate swing low is the lowest. So that is something which we will have to consider. And if we have to trade with these currencies, I think at the moment the CAD is looking like quite a good choice to trade with its strong move being observed. It has declined almost 50 pips from this immediate swing high to this swing low, and even at the moment it is seemingly having a stronger momentum in favor of these Canadian bulls. The Canadian dollar is continuing to appreciate, and with that in mind, I think it is even better placed than the euro at the moment, so we can go for short selling opportunities in the USD CAD with the expectations of the move toward 1.36 or even below that being a strong possibility. Let's consider the USDCHF. USDCHF is not showing that strong moves. It is also in line with its other European peers, bullish against the US dollar, but it is consolidating. We don't really have a strong movement happening at the moment. It is simply consolidating on these lower levels, with these buyers being in favor of the CHF and we can expect that momentum to continue. But on these levels, we will have to remain cautious and trade cautiously. We are likely to see the slow appreciation of the CHF to continue, and with these formation being quite favorable for the CHF bulls, we are likely to see these momentum persist, so we can continue to look for short selling opportunities. But in comparison to the CAD, we have less of an bullish momentum in CHF against the US dollar. So we have much better formation in place for taking new trades of shorting the US dollar in USD CAD in comparison to the USD CHF. Maybe if things seems to be stabilizing later in the day, and if and when the signs of reversal start to emerge, maybe for taking the contra trend trade, we can keep the USDCHF on the watch list in the watch. So for going with the trend, we have CAD as the first choice for making against the trend trade. Maybe the CHF and AUD can be given a chance, but at the moment we will have to wait it out and see how things shape up, and only after further confirmation we can think along those lines. Now we have to consider the USD JPY. The JPY, after rising substantially from these lower levels of 130.4 to 131.66, that's almost the appreciation of 1% from the lowest point to the highest point for the US dollar against the JPY. We are again seeing starting of the revival of bullish momentum of Japanese yen. So here for next couple of hours, we are likely to see these undertone persist, and in that light, we will have to keep looking for opportunities to go short in the USD JPY. But we don't really see strong moves in the USD JPY, particularly in today's trading session for further appreciation. And because of that, I would say that we have the momentum much better in other major currencies like CAD and Euro. So here, the JPY being in a slightly less bullish stance against the US dollar should be a second choice, or you can even say later choice, than the CAD and the US Euro, where we have much better moment. In that context, we will have to use the USDJPY with the possibility of revival in the US dollar rather than going short at the current level. So if you see that US dollar stabilizes and then shows some signs of reversing and starting to rise, then maybe you can think about going long. In that context, the USDJPY would come handy, can be given a chance. But at the moment, for initiating the new trades with the expectation of further weakness in the US dollar, that is not really going to be a good choice. With trading in the USD JPY, we have better momentum prevalent in the euro as well as in the Canadian dollar. So for going short in the US dollar, we have the CAD as the obvious choice, followed by the Euro and GBP, and then comes the NZD. Whereas for the currencies like CHF, JPY, and for currencies like CHF and JPY, there is no strong bullish momentum at the current levels. So we will have to trade cautiously and take the assessment with these considerations in mind. So that's the outlook for the currency segment. Now, before we wrap up the session, let's also take a cursory glance on the equity side. For US equities, there seems to have been substantial gains in last couple of hours, starting from 32,000. We have the Dow Jones Industrial Average making a fresh swing high at 32,500. So that's quite a large move for the Dow Jones Industrial Average after it saw sharp decline in the yesterday's trading session, where it had declined these 2 percentage point, and now after consolidating on these lower levels there is this sharp spike. So it is likely to continue to have this bullish momentum intact, and we are likely to see these formation of higher highs and higher lows continue on these medium term charting pattern. So for swing traders, for medium term traders, the momentum is in favor of the bulls, equity bulls, and we will have to adapt a buy on dip strategy in these equity indices. Now the question is whether we have better momentum in S&P 500, Dow Jones, or the Nasdaq. So we will do the comparison and then try to figure out. The S&P 500 is 1% off from this immediate swing high. For the Dow, the distance is similar. For Nasdaq, it is much more closer. So we have the best bullish momentum in the Nasdaq in comparison to these all other equity indices, the S&P 500 and Dow Jones Industrial Average. So of these three equity indices, the major equity indices for the United States, we have the best possible bullish momentum in the Nasdaq. So for next couple of hours also, we are likely to see this bullish momentum prevail, and the trading choice is obviously of going to buy on dips approach with these corrections. Whenever we see correction deepening further and stabilizes on the lower side, we can go for a new trade with the expectation of Nasdaq going on to touch 13,000 in next couple of hours or even couple of days. So you can adopt both the approaches. So that's all from my side for today's trading session of correlation and regression, where we consider the price developments in the forex market along with the equity segment, with the CAD and Euro emerging as the frontline choice for going long against the US dollar, whereas the currencies like CHF and JPY are lagging in the momentum at the current levels and might be considered for going contra trade if things stabilize and we see the signs of dollar revival emerging. For the equity segment, the momentum is favor of bulls, and we will have to keep looking for buy on dips approach, buy on dips trades in the equity segment. So that's my assessment for the current station of the regression, correlation and regression. Now I'm signing off for the day. See you next time around. Have a fabulous day ahead. Goodbye.